There's no secret formula when it comes to experiencing the sacred in our lives, just practice and practicality. At least that's what my guest believes, and I'm right there with her. I'm so thrilled to introduce you to Becca Stevens, founder and president of Thistle Farms. Welcome to the Sami Cone Show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. It's my first time to be on it.
I'm so excited to have you. I mean, we have so much we want to talk about. I can't imagine anyone doesn't know about the mission of Thistle Farms because I brag about them all the time on this show. But can you just tell me a little bit about why you started this heart cause of yours?
Sure. We started 25 years ago.
Incredible.
I know, just one house in Nashville, Tennessee, and it's grown to a global movement for women's freedom. You know, really because of this community. But I started it really because of my own brokenness and my own longing for sanctuary and safety. And so I wanted to welcome women who had a history of trafficking, of addiction, of all kinds of exploitation and abuse, to come find a safe place, a home, not a halfway house, not a shelter, just come and live. And then 4 years later, we started the bath and body care company that's launched us around the world.
Right, and is it true that that just came from one of your women knowing how to make candles? Is that actually?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's anybody can make candles. It's melting soy wax and putting some essential oil in it. So we started right on the Vanderbilt campus in the little chapel there.
Wow. That's amazing. And how many women came through the program just in the last year? In the last year,
you know, well, we have tons of women that we refer now to other programs around the country. We have about 30 women in residence. We have about 65 women who are graduates and residents who work at Thistle Farms right on Charlotte Avenue. So hundreds.
Yeah. It's incredible. And I mean, I love how we're going to talk a little bit more about your new book, Practically Divine, which told you wrecked my heart in so many ways. You know, for me, it's about making sure that you're not only living out your heart's mission, but partnering with others. If someone else is doing a good thing, joining with them. And that can be as simple as eating at the Thistle Farms Cafe or actually getting involved. How can people get involved both here in Nashville, but wherever they happen to be? How can they carry out that mission where their home is?
Well, for me, I think it's really about saying, what do I value? What gives me energy? And I think this is the right book at this time for people. I mean, people are leaving professions they've had. People are questioning so many things. And for me, before we even get involved, it's like remembering what gives us joy and passion and then finding those places where we can get involved and make justice just a part of our everyday life, whether it's the tea we're drinking, where we're eating, like you said, or maybe it is hands-on volunteering in a local place where especially you're helping women, because everybody knows when you help and invest in women, you're healing whole communities.
Well, and that's just it. And I was going to wait until later, but I can't. This is sitting on my, it's burning a hole in my lap. No, I want to talk about Practically Divine is your new book. You start right off the bat by saying, you know, love is 9/10 experience, right? Just being able to, I hope I said that right, being able to really just put feet to our faith. And so how can we do that more and show love practically in ways that maybe we haven't before?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And really, the whole book is filled, in my mind, with about 25 years experience of hearing these heroic stories. And one of the things I think is that, you know, storytelling is one of the best ways that we learn and about the best way that we heal. So telling and listening to stories is one of the easy, practical ways that we can engage each other. It's like, I just want to know you, I want to know your story. And we figure out like what we have in common, how we can work together. You know, it breeds creativity, it breeds hope, all of those things.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk in the book about we have a God-given right to celebrate ourselves. What would you say to the woman watching that is just like, I don't know who I am anymore? I mean, not just because of abuse like so many of us have experienced, but even just with the year we've had. What would you say to her to help her really rediscover that joy?
Yeah, I think it starts with something very, very simple that you do with intention to remember. Do something very simple with intention to remember who you are. It could be anything from like, I am going to take a 15-minute walk. I am going to drink a hot cup of tea and breathe. I am going to really pay attention to this drawer that's full of stuff that I can't get rid of. Do you know what I mean? Like really simple things.
Yes, and just to do that. That's so good. I'm going to stop you there. We have so much more to talk about with Becca. I hope you'll come back after the break to hear more about Practically Divine. That's so good. We're back with Becca Stevens talking about her new book, Practically Divine. Becca, what led you to write a book and title it Practically Divine in the first place?
You know, I didn't mean to. That's the crazy thing. I didn't, you know, it just kept coming up that that's Practically Divine while I was writing something else. And I was like, that's what it is.
Wow.
It's about us remembering practically divine. Like, we're almost divine and we're enough divine. You know, that's what practically divine means. Close enough and plenty.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, when we can remember that, it means we're enough right now. It's not when, you know, the kids go off to college, or we've gotten the promotion, or I've lost weight, or I've found my true love. It's right now.
Yeah.
It is right now that we have to experience it.
And you were touching on how, you know, just the simple, the sacred and the everyday, how important that is. But you also talk about trying to figure out the past so that we can impact and change our future. I would have to imagine that's a theme that you're seeing every day with the women that you're working with and communing with. How can we do that when our past is really hard and has hurt us?
I will just say this, that especially for the women of Thistle Farms that I've worked with, their past almost never leaves them. It could be an old record from when they were a teenager. It could be, you know, just the buildup of trauma from their youth. And one of the reasons that it's a 2-year program for women is that it takes time to do that, to unpack that in a safe place with safe people. And, you know, like one of the greatest joys that I get to see is maybe it took 2 years, but a woman has straightened out her past enough that she gets her first driver's license.
Wow.
You know, she may be 22, 23, 28, 48 years old. And it's like, I've paid down the costs, I've made restitution, I figured out how, you know, to get a loan on a car, and my credit's good. And it's, I think that is the work we have to do, even in our heart work from the past. I mean, that's a concrete example, but it's true for our hearts too. It's like, what happened that makes me react this way? What happened that makes me not trust this situation or leave my body? And when we sort that out, we're better where we are, and we can see clearer where we're headed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the practical is a big part of this, but what if someone doesn't believe in the divine? Like, how does the divine play into all this?
That's in the divine is a great word because it's right on the edge. It could go either way. And for me, you can translate it to love. It's all about love. I mean, on every product we have at Thistle Farms, it's love heals. So, you know, practical love, you could say that easily. I don't want anybody to get tripped up on the words, and I hope that people really feel inspired and challenged and just renewed to keep going. I mean, this is a time that we don't need to quit. This is a time we need to keep going.
Yeah, and we were talking about some of our shared Jewish roots before this. I mean, I think when you bring love into play, it doesn't even matter what faith journey you're coming on, that when you love, it covers, right? Isn't that what the scripture says? It covers a multitude of wrongs. And I think talking about loving, we're going into the holidays.
Yes.
We're going to be dealing with maybe family we haven't seen, or I shouldn't say dealing with, getting to see. But maybe if we're looking at it, how can we apply this as we're going into those holiday celebrations and reunions?
Well, I think it's all about being creative. I think it's, I mean, Practically Divine is a creative way of living. Practically Divine is about, again, appreciation and gratitude right where we are. And to me, to go into like Thanksgiving with a heart that's like remembering the mercy we've known.
Yeah.
Remembering what we've been forgiven and what we've forgiven others. Remembering some of the moments of joy that we have, even in the brokenness or grief that we've known. It makes the holidays a lot easier to sit down at a table and say, I am grateful. Before you even eat a piece of anything.
Right.
Just to say it, I'm just grateful. That's a huge gift.
Yeah, and we just have a little bit of time left, but you end the book almost with this centering prayer. You say, before we even finish this chapter, just breathing in, could you just lead us in a quick centering prayer, so that if we do find ourselves in these moments, we have something that we can really ground ourselves with and focus on the practically divine?
Absolutely. I've never had anybody ask me that question. I love it.
Oh, I'm honored.
So we just take a slower than normal breath. And we breathe in this gratefulness for that breath, for this life, for all the gifts of creation. And we breathe out any anxiety that we are feeling, any worry for the things we cannot change. And we take one more breath and we breathe in courage to change the things that we can. And we breathe out anything that will be a stumbling block for us to keep going.
Thank you, Becca.
Peace and love to you.
Thank you, Becca. I'm encouraged by this conversation. I hope you've been encouraged. Please pick up a book of Practically Divine. Give it as gifts. We're going to talk more about some of the great gifts you can give at Thistle Farms, but thank you for joining us on the show today.
It was my honor.
It's my privilege. Make sure you get the book and come right back and see us.